Hey. Look, before we go any further, for me, I'm doing this for me as well as for you. So, what I want us to do is right now, I want us just take a breath. Take a breath. Take a breath with me. Come on. Here we go. How did that feel? And it's not to be productive, and it's not for anyone else. It's for you and for me. I wanted that. I wanted to center myself before we got on here together and we had this conversation. So let me ask you something. When you're dealing with too much, when there's a lot going on, a lot on your plate, how do you know that you haven't reached that exhaustion or that crash? What is it, or that you have reached it? What is it that's going on right now or right then that lets you know that I'm done? This is it. And I've got a clue. It's when the joy leaves the room. And that's why I titled this live this time, because I want to know, are you at that space? It's when the joy leaves the room. And for me, it's when things start to feel like a chore. It's when those things that you really enjoy, those things that you normally would get something from, it's when they leave and they become a chore. And I'm not talking about just the hard stuff. What I'm talking about is even the things that you really used to enjoy start to feel like a burden. Is the creative things that you like to do, the creativity. Maybe for me it's cooking, and I want to share some of that stuff with you, but it's creating new dishes, changing dishes, doing things like that. It's when I'm creative on the computer and I'm on Canva, or I'm on Photoshop and I'm creating these images. It's all those things that are fun. And then when you do them for others and it becomes a have to instead of I want to, then the joy starts leaving. And it's those connections that you have with other people. And you just call because you're thinking of them, or you want to do something with them, or you're just checking in on them. And then it becomes a chore because you feel, I have to call this person today. I need to do this today. And then it's no longer fun because you're just thinking of them. It's because you feel that it's something that you need to do. And it's the care that you give to others because you want to and you love them. And it all shifts to those two words, I have to. And it's no longer I get to or I want to. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the joy is gone, because something feels off. You're not getting that same feeling. And this is how it shows up for a lot of us. Is when your mind is overloaded, your joy is the first thing that gets suffocated. Just the life choked out of it, because joy takes space. Just like anything else, it's space. And when you're full to the brim with responsibilities, with emotions, with expectations, there's no room left for that lightness of joy. And that's what joy feels like. If you forgot, there's a lightness. And so if you're live with me right now, or even when you go on when you're on the replay and you're listening to this, I want you to tell me what your first clue is that you're handling too much, that you're filled to the rim, and that everything that you're doing, even those things that used to excite you and that you love, that they feel like a chore. And when you start resenting your own schedule, when you stop laughing even at the things that usually crack you up, or you can find some kind of humor in them, it's not funny anymore. I want you to drop one of your clues. When do you know? And I want us to hold this space together because this is important. And so I want to just sit here for a minute, and I want us to put a name to what's true for a lot of us, but is only spoken of in one on one conversations or where no one else can hear you or with yourself. And it's that you're not ignoring your exhaustion because you don't care. You're ignoring it because it feels like you don't have a choice. You just have to. You've got deadlines, you've got mouths to feed, there's school, there's caregiving, there's work, there's bills that needs to be paid, and there's doctor's appointments, all those things. And people are counting on you. People are pulling on you. I need your help. I need you to do this. Can you handle this? And you're telling yourself that I just need to push through this week. If I get this done this week, I'll be okay. Or I can't afford to stop right now. There's too much that needs to be done. And if it doesn't get done, then everything will fall apart. Or maybe as soon as I get this one thing done, then maybe I'll have the space or the time to check into this or take care of this. But that one thing, it never stops. And it's not just family. And it's not just work. It's everything at once. And what's crazy is you're actually doing it. You're making it happen. But you're doing it while you're struggling inside. I know you're excellent at what you do. I know nobody can do it like you do because you put so much of yourself in it. And at some point, those cracks are going to start showing. And they show up in ways like you're short with people that you love, or you're even short with people that normally something wouldn't faze you, but it irritates you and it gets on your nerves. And the other thing is that you can't keep up with your own thoughts sometimes, and you're doing 100 things, all the things. But right now, none of them seem to be being done well. Not like when you used to think you were on point. And that excellence that you used to pride yourself in is starting to erode. Not because you don't care, but because it's humanly impossible to keep running like this and to stay whole. You can't keep doing it. And this isn't just a you thing. It's happening to so many of us. That studies have actually shown that women who carry 70% of caregiving responsibilities worldwide, that's what you're doing. And they're also twice as likely to experience burnout, especially when you're working full time and you're managing households. And I want to qualify caregiving because a lot of times we think of caregiving as just taking care of someone who's disabled or elderly. Elderly, can't even say it, can I? But really, we care for our kids. We care for those in our family as well. And the thing is, we keep pushing. I think we keep pushing through because we feel like, well, we can't stop. Because if we stop again, so many things will fall through. And we feel like there's no one else that can hold it together like us. because we feel like we're supposed to do it, right? So let me ask you something. What's one thing that you're doing now, even though you know you don't have the capacity for it, but you're doing it and you keep doing it and you're resentful and you're frustrated, but you're doing it? I want you to give me one example in the chat. Things like taking on extra work, somebody else's work when you shouldn't, or saying yes to one more request because you don't want to let them down, or cooking full dinners every night because that's what you feel that you should do as a good mother and a good wife and a good homemaker, to make sure that your family gets full, nutritious meals, or doing everything for everyone in the house. You know, the laundry, the dishes, because no one else is doing them, or responding to messages when you're drained. And you know what? You're not alone. And this isn't a call out. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I just want you to be aware that this is real and it's not sustainable. We were never meant to be all things to all people. But somewhere along the way, that became the expectation, whether we put it on ourselves or someone else put it on us. And I'm not here to tell you to quit. I'm not here to tell you to quit your job or walk away from your responsibilities and your family, even though I just want to ask you, what would it take for you to stop pretending you're okay when you're not? So here's what I want to ask you next. Yeah, I got a lot of questions. What if it's not just the schedule? What if it's not just the to-do list of the people or the plates that you're spinning? What image that conjure up for you? But what if the thing that's really keeping you from stopping is the belief that stopping means you're weak? And I want to talk about that. Let me ask you another question. I hate saying that, but I am asking questions. And I want you to really be honest with yourself here. It doesn't matter if you're honest with me, but I want you to be honest with yourself. When was the last time you didn't put yourself last? Not because you had extra time, not because things slowed down, but because you chose to listen to what you needed first, what your body was screaming, what your mind was yelling. You determined that you wanted to listen to that first. And often we don't rest because we don't want to put anyone out. We don't want to put anyone else out, or we don't want them to suffer in any way if we feel something we do can prevent it. Because most of the times, these are people that we love or people that we care about. And so we suffer silently to make things easier for everyone else. We cook even when we're sick, right? We take the call even when we're wiped out because we don't want them to suffer. And we step in when others drop the ball because we don't want them to hurt. And we tell ourselves, well, it's fine. I can handle this. I know I can because I've been doing it. But what's really happening is when we constantly choose others over ourselves, our nervous system never gets to reset. And we're training them to depend on us. And so we stay in that fight, flight or freeze mode all day, every day, never off. And our body is living in that survival mode constantly. And while we're trying to look like we got it all. And over time, our brain starts to shut down, and parts that you used to feel that joy in it, those are the parts that are shutting down. That creativity, that connection. Because all we're trying to do is get through and survive in the things that matter. That's why everything starts to feel like a chore. Because we've shut down that part of our brain that used to feel joy, that could stop living in that survival. And that's why you're irritated and why joy feels so far away. Not because you're ungrateful, but because your system is begging, crying out for relief. And if you're honest, what's one thing that you keep doing? I want you to think on this. One thing that you keep doing, even though your body and your mind or your spirit is clearly asking you to stop. And it could be something like staying up late to catch up on work, or saying yes to another favor, or being the emotional rock for everyone but yourself. I don't even need you to write it down because you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I want you to name that thing or those things to yourself, because that's where the shift starts. And look, I know what this feels like. Saying yes because I don't want to disappoint anyone. I've done it for years. Showing up when I had nothing left because I didn't want them to feel what I felt. I didn't want them to go what I went through. I didn't want them to hurt like I hurt. And so you begin to get used to that discomfort, and you stop believing that you deserve anything else. Picture this. Everyone in your life is there. And what you're doing is you're wrapping them in you and your body. And you're taking those arrows of life on your back. Each one, each pain, each hurt, trying to shield them. So let me say this with love. You choosing yourself isn't you failing them. It's showing them what healthy looks like. Because if you keep being the backup system for everyone, they'll never, ever, ever learn to stand on their own. Get this. You're not the only option for everyone else's comfort, but you are the only one who can protect your energy. And until you decide to do that, exhaustion will always be your default. Have you ever said yes to something and immediately felt your stomach drop, that clench? Not because you're lazy, but because you know deep down you just betrayed yourself. And the thing is, we know better. We know that we need to say no sometimes, but we don't, because we don't want anyone else to feel that discomfort that we just talked about and that we live in every day. You don't want them to feel disappointed. You don't want your kids to feel left out or unloved. You don't want your mom to feel forgotten. You don't want your boss to think that you're not capable. You don't want them to lack. So instead, you lack. And sometimes you're not just bad. And forgive me. Somehow I dropped out for a second, but I'm back. So I'll say again, you're trying to rewrite. I fixed it. What you never had. And our patterns are like scars. They fade, but they never really go away. You can do the work. You can catch it faster. You can integrate new patterns in place. But that old one, it still whispers when you're tired and vulnerable or just want peace. And I've stepped in to help people who didn't do their part, and I paid the price. Not just in time or effort, but in what it taught them. It taught them that I'll catch the fall and that there are no consequences to their actions. And you know what's worse? Sometimes they're not even grateful that I've become the shield. Sometimes they act like they deserve it, that entitlement mentality. And so I'm left with the scars in my back, with the pain, holding the bag of resentment. So let me say this plain and clear. Every time you cushion their fall, you confirm your own expendability. You tell your body and your spirit, we don't matter as much as they do. And that is where your burnout begins. Your sacrifice may be coming from love, but unchecked, unwatched, it becomes self erasure. Is there a time that you stepped in to save the day and later wish that you hadn't? What did it cost you? I'm not telling you to let people down. Let me get that right up front. I want you to understand that. I'm saying stop jumping in before they even realize that they need to swim, or before they realize that they all they need to do is stand up, because they're only in 2 feet of water and they'll be okay. Here's what I want to say. You're going to be needed again. Maybe today, maybe right after we get off this call, maybe before this even ends. Somebody, you glanced over and you see your phone and there's a notification, and you're torn between answering that, or you're probably even jumping in right now and answering that. And you feel that old reflex to jump in, to answer it, to fix it, to make it better, to carry on and to take that weight because someone else can't or won't. Or at least you believe that lie. And you're not wrong for caring. No, you're not weak for being tired of it. You're human. And there's a limit to what you can keep giving without giving up you or giving up on yourself. What changed for me wasn't the instinct. I still want to jump in so many times, especially as a mom, but I've learned to pause. And sometimes I just say 3 words, let it go. And sometimes for me, that means just walking out of the room. If I have to physically distance myself, sometimes it means putting my phone on silent. Sometimes it's just taking one breath like we did at the beginning, long enough to remember I've equipped them. They'll figure it out. They'll be okay. And even if they won't, I still get to choose me. Look, you're not abandoning them. You're allowing them to grow. You're not being selfish. You're finally being honest about your limits, your needs, and your worth. When you start listening to your body, to your spirit, to your mind, you stop giving up your time lightly. You become protective of that space, and you start teaching people how to treat it too, your space, because your peace isn't optional, it's sacred, it's vital. And so if you choose to begin today, to begin again today, what would that look like for you? Not in theory, not when things get better, not when your phone stops ringing, but today. What would change? I am so glad that you've been here with me. I really appreciate your time. I hope this has hit something deep within you because this is important. You're important. And I'd love to see your comments as you share your thoughts. And until next time, the next Unlearning Break Time Live. Can't wait to see you again. Take care. Bye bye.